make sure we're live. Hi everybody, welcome back to another Live with Lilo. Thank you for hopping on. Whoever does hop on first, please just let us know that you can actually hear us, because we know how technology goes and it does fail us at times. So let's just make sure that we're on. I see somebody. Is that you, Michelle? And Lauren. Hey Lauren, how are you? Thank you for hopping on. Can you hear us? Just give me a thumbs up or a yes. Can you see us? All of the above. I just want to make sure before I continue. Just let us know. Anyway, thank you for hopping on to another Live with Lilo. This is a really very special interview that I am holding here. I'm sitting here with DeMaurier Green. Thank you so much for inviting me into your home.
You're very welcome.
DeMaurier is a graduate of Long Beach High School. So this continues my Long Beach Spotlight series. I started this to kind of create the buzz of our wonderful Long Beach, our city by the sea, where we have some astounding people that have come out of Long Beach, and still it's just an unbelievable town where we have these unbelievable walks of life. And my friend Heather Licata, thank you, introduced me. This is my first time actually meeting DeMaurier, but she wanted me to take a look at his story. And she thought that instead of touting someone who's this extraordinary talent, to bring awareness to someone who's fighting a battle. And we're gonna hear DeMaurier's story. All good. Thank you, Lauren, and thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you. I hope you're feeling better. I read your little story that you weren't feeling well. I hope you're okay. Hey, Brian, thank you for hopping on. So, those of you hopping on, I am sitting here with DeMaurier Green. Thank you. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. But better question is, how are you? I want everyone to hear this story of DeMaurier's his struggles, the life, what he's going through now. So you're graduated of 84.
Yes.
I did not know you.
Yeah.
My husband was looking at pictures this morning. He said, oh, now he's looking familiar, you know, because as we were just talking, sometimes we have to look at pictures of our younger selves to remind ourselves, you know,
back to memory.
Yeah, Long Beach was a big school, but it was a small school. And a lot of people knew a lot of people, and small town, we talk. So DeMaurier, take us back to high school. Just take us all the way back to when you started to feel unwell, and where it has brought you now. I took my notes when we talked, and I didn't really bring. Usually, I'll bring like index cards with questions, but basically, I want you to share with everyone what you shared with me.
Okay.
On the phone, and you know what has happened.
Well, going back to high school, I mean, there wasn't really a trace of anything that I knew. You know, I don't think I had high blood pressure then. When I got it, I really don't know, but I imagine it was probably around 90. You know, that I probably had it and didn't realize it, because I probably had it for a few years without really knowing anything. And Michelle and I met in 94. So I guess it was like 95 when I started having these very bad headaches. And what I would do is just really get something to eat and go to sleep. Bad part about it, I would go get McDonald's with all that salt and go and lay down. So probably in essence, I was killing myself. And one day Michelle was at the house, and I was laying down, and she said, you know, you need to go to the doctor. And me, I don't know, I guess being a male, you know, before that I wasn't even going to the doctor.
Let me ask you this. Were they headaches that were like migraine headaches? Or they were just kind of headaches that you kind of
I never had a migraine before, but I just know I just had to stop doing everything. You know, it was really hurting that bad. So I would just really just lay down and that was it. You know, maybe take an aspirin or something and, you know, lay down until it went away. And then I went to the doctor and found out my blood pressure was something like 160 over 120. I mean, it was sky high. And so he gave me medication at that point. I did some blood work, and they saw there was something wrong with the kidneys. So I went to a couple of doctors, nephrologists, and they did tests. And from the test that they found out, doctor sat me down. He said, listen, you only have maybe a year or two left for your kidneys.
And that was what year?
And that was 95.
Oh, wow.
That was 95.
That must have been shocking.
That was devastating.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I didn't know what to expect because I didn't know anything about it. You know, somebody tells you something like that, the first thing you think is death. You know, so, and just the strange thing is just, that was just like the end of the doctor visits. So a year passed, 2 years passed. You know, by this time I was going to the doctor regularly. But nothing really happened. You know, at that time I had no symptoms, no anything. I was taking blood pressure medication, so my blood pressure was under control. So there was no headaches, no nothing at that point. So I just continued, you know, to just go to the doctor. And this was a doctor's office in Oceanside at the time. But then I started working in the city, and which made it very hard to get to that doctor. So I found another doctor in Manhattan. This was Dr. Hammer at down in Union Square. So he eventually recommended me to see a nephrologist. And my current nephrologist now, Dr. Gruber, who I've been seeing for, oh gosh, how long has it been? Like maybe
Michelle,
20
how
years.
long?
Probably about 20 years.
Yeah, like 20 years now.
So you were a young man when this was all diagnosed. I mean,
Yes.
this was, you were in your 20s.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I started to see Dr. Gruber regularly. Dr. Hammer retired. So I primarily started seeing my nephrologist.
Let me get rid of these. Mm-hmm.
And I guess it was around 2005 when symptoms started to appear. But at the time, I really had no idea what it was. Because I knew I had kidney problems, but, you know, it seemed like everything was working fine.
Because you were on medication, everything
Yeah, I
was
was on
kind
blood pressure medication,
under
and
control,
yeah, everything was under control. And you know, my doctor's visits were pretty good. My kidneys were at a point that it was kind of steady, not getting better, not getting worse, but you know, just the same reading. But I noticed when I started to run, I started getting these pains, you know, around my calf area. And one day I was running, and I just had to stop. And I didn't know what it was. So I went back home, and pretty much that was that.
You wrote it off. You kind of wrote it
Yeah.
off and just thought,
And then
oh, I'm running
another
and it's just a pain.
strange thing that started to happen is I started getting inflammation in the hips, in the foot, and that was severe to the point that I would wake up in the morning and just all of a sudden I couldn't walk. And, you know, I went to go see the doctor about it, and, you know, they just said it was inflammation. Did you hit your hip? And I was like, no. Yeah, and it was another time in my foot. Actually, it was more than one time. I was outside doing something to the grass, and the next day, couldn't walk because, you know, the toes were just, it was so painful.
Now, did the doctors allude to the fact that this could have been from the kidneys malfunctioning, or you just kind of chalked it off? Did they chalk it off?
Honestly, I didn't probably cross-reference. I don't think I told the doctor that I went to about the kidney problem. And I just really had no idea that it was from that. Mm-hmm. And I thought actually that I had gout. So I went to go see a rheumatologist, and she did all types of tests, and she came back and she said, I don't think you have gout. And, you know, I was like, I think this is, you know, I think it's gout. I did my research. So I went to another doctor and I said, listen, I truly believe that I have gout. He did a few tests and he prescribed allopurinol. And that basically took it away. You know, I didn't have any more attacks after that. And those symptoms went away. And actually the last time I had an attack was probably like in '07 when we had just moved here. But it was very strange. It was like probably 1 week out of the year, it would just hit me and I couldn't do anything but just stay in the house. I mean, it was so painful in my hip that, you know, when you walk and you have to lift your foot up to go to the next step, I couldn't even do that.
So this affects everything. So you couldn't work.
Oh, no.
And you're in construction.
Yeah. Now, at the time I was a security manager. This is before I switched careers. But that was rough. And like I said, the strange thing about it is I didn't know that, you know, it was probably a symptom because it just came out of nowhere and then it just left.
And it leaves you depleted.
Yeah. You know, and it's very weird. So, I guess I got over that. And probably, I guess about 2014. Yeah, 2014, you know, the doctors, my nephrologist recommended that I go on a transplant list.
And this is just a few years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going on 3.5 years, 4 years that you're on the list.
Yes.
Right.
So I registered at Mount Sinai in Manhattan. And he also recommended Maryland, the University of Maryland, because their list is a little shorter. So, you know, all of us, the whole family drove down to Maryland. And I registered there, did all the tests and everything. You know, very nice facility.
What does that entail? Does that entail a whole day of testing and paperwork?
Yes.
and
A whole complete day. I mean, we were there from 7 to 3.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing tests. You're seeing different doctors. You're seeing planners. You're seeing financial people and just everything. You know. So that was that.
So what do they tell you when you go on those lists? Do they tell you, well, don't get your hopes up, or this could happen in 3 months, it could happen in 5 years? What do they tell you?
They tell you, well, like Manhattan, they said, well, the average waiting time is 5 years. You know, I believe it's a little longer, but I guess they don't want to tell you, well, you know, it's going to take you 10 years. I mean, I've heard of people saying it took them 10 years. You know, Maryland, they will say, well, it's around 3 to 5 years. You know, but it's a lot of different factors. Your blood type, you know, so I guess mainly your blood type. You know, because you have to find the perfect match.
Right. And by the way, we found out DeMaurier's blood type is O negative. There are people out there that you never know could be willing to donate a living organ. Now, we have 2 kidneys, right?
Yes.
You need one.
Just one.
But are both affected? Both of yours affected?
Whenever you have a kidney disease, both are affected.
So you need one.
Yeah, just one.
Okay. But you're on the list for a deceased owner.
Yes.
Donor.
At the hospital, it's likely to be a deceased donor.
Right.
And that's why they recommend you to find a live donor. But that whole process, you're pretty much on your own. You know, there's no program that helps you find a live donor.
Right.
You know, they Mount Sinai had a class, you know, that shows you how to, you know, use social media. You know, but that was it. And you know, going back to the symptoms, So I registered, and it probably was like in 2014. That year was when I really started to get symptoms, with the leg cramps. And that was probably the most severe part, because the leg cramps to the point I would have them an entire night, and that is just, it's grueling. It's really grueling because it will leave your muscles sore. You have a cramp that long. It was the cramping, and I started to get very fatigued, to the point where I'll be doing something that I would normally do, and like in minutes I'm totally out of breath. Well, I got to sit down and I'm starting to get dizzy. And I'm used to being able to work around the house I've done projects where I work 12 hours, in a day, and not been affected. But that was basically over. I couldn't do certain things.
And that's got to be hard especially for a man who is so used to doing things around the house and providing for his family, to be crippled like that and not be able to do. There are times where you can't work, and that's got to be tough. I personally can't imagine not being able to work as a woman, let alone you have 2 twin-year-old daughters, 12-year-old daughters, twins. You have a wife, you have a beautiful home, and that's got to be hard. So now you were out of work for a little while. You just went back last week. But is it an on-again, off-again kind of thing?
This last year, well, just going back a little bit, in 2017, the doctor said, well, it's time, you're going to have to go on dialysis. So that news was devastating alone, because the funny thing is, back in the late 80s, I used to drive an ambulance. And I used to transport a lot of dialysis patients.
Right.
And the ones that I saw, they weren't in the best of conditions, So that was the first thing that popped in my mind, I'm going to be gone, So he told me about peritoneal dialysis, which is home dialysis. I didn't know anything about it, never heard of it. I thought that I was going to have to go to the center, just like everybody else, 3 days a week, for 4 hours at a time. So he told me about it, and afterwards I went home. I did my research. I'm a YouTuber, so I went on YouTube and I saw the process and learned about it. So then the time came to place the catheter in my stomach, which was like another nerve-wracking thing. Just the idea of somebody telling you, well, we have to put a tube in your stomach. So that appointment came, my friend, drove me out. I had the process done. I guess the worst part actually is just before going in the operating room, because it's a lot of light, it's freezing cold, and you're nervous. You're freezing cold and you're sweating. But the process was done. I went through the soreness and everything.
Is that an outpatient? Is that just a one-day deal? Is it
Yes,
an outpatient?
it's just a one-day deal. You're probably there, like maybe a good 6 hours. Yeah. So I went through the training. You have to go through a training process, to learn how to do your own dialysis.
What is regular dialysis? So you drove the ambulette, because I know my husband did this for a little while. So when a person actually has to go and get the ambulance,
yes,
to go
that
to the
is
hospital and get
hemodialysis, where they hook up. They actually put a shunt in your arm so they can connect to it, and the hemodialysis pulls all of your blood out, and it runs it through a filter and puts it back in you. So.
And is that once a week? Is that every day for people?
From what I know, they usually have to go 3 times a week.
And it's an all-day deal?
Usually I guess they're on the machine for like 4 hours.
Okay.
But I mean, from what I've seen, from what I've heard, it's very exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times when they're finished, all they want to do is just go home and go to sleep.
Right. So now what you do is
Now,
quite different.
my dialysis is I hook up to a machine that fills up my peritoneal sac. It's not my abdomen. It's the peritoneal sac that houses your heart, your lungs, and your stomach. It's just a giant sac. And it fills it up with liquid, and it sits in you for like an hour and a half. So while it's sitting inside you, it's collecting, basically all the bad stuff from your blood. And after the time, like hour and a half, it drains you. Then it fills you up again. It does it like 4 times. The whole process takes 9 hours, that you're on it. I guess the better part is that I do it when I go to sleep at night. So I don't have to sit on it during the day. I mean, if that was the case, I wouldn't be able to do anything because that's the whole day.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so
So you have to do that every night?
every night.
Now,
That's-
why do you have to do that every night, and then other people that go into the hospital to do it maybe 3 times a week?
I think that cleaning out the blood directly is probably a little more efficient than the home dialysis because mine involves no blood. So that way I just think that it might be just more efficient. But I know it's more harsh on the body. But
Are you able to sleep when you do it?
I've gotten used to it.
Mm-hmm.
The first 9 days, I couldn't sleep at all. I was like a zombie the first 9 days, and probably that first year was very hard because the cramping, being fatigued, that's why I was in and out of work. Probably the whole year. I mean, I would work a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden, I would just start feeling just, crampy and just fatigued, and, I would have to stop. So this probably went on for like a year, where I work a little bit, then I was off, for like maybe a month. And it's just recently, like this summer, which these symptoms have lessened, a lot. But
And that's partly due to doing the dialysis.
yes,
Making you feel a little better.
the body is cleaner
Mhm.
now. But it just takes away from, a lot of things that I used to do. I mean, I used to, summertime, me and the girls would go for a walk, down at Lilo Beach every Tuesday, or we would go to the park, later in the day. But now, 7 o'clock hits, especially if I'm working, I have to be on the machine.
Right.
Because I have to get up very early and I need to finish the cycle. So in that way, it's hard, and we like to vacation every year,
Mm-hmm.
and that's become very hard
Yeah.
because you can't really lug this big machine around, to go on vacation, and it's just
How big is it?
it's if you can remember like the size of an old VCR,
Yes.
it's about that size.
Mm-hmm.
I know last year we went to the Dominican Republic and I carried down supplies with me, but the problem was I didn't carry enough, and I had, very bad episodes of cramping. You can also do it manually without the machine, and I guess that's one of the benefits because if there is a blackout, I can still do my treatments.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, because with the hemo, you can't.
You cannot, right?
Unless you have a generator,
Sure.
for power. but that was the last time we went away. It's been hard because my mother lives in North Carolina.
Oh, how is she doing? Is
She's
she
she's
anywhere
all right.
near? Okay.
Yeah, she's very
Is it-
far inland.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
there's
just
a lot of
off
flooding
of
over there.
she's north of North Carolina, just off of 95.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been speaking to her every day.
Yeah.
So she's been all right.
All right.
Um,
Poor North Carolina.
I know.
Yeah.
I kind of lost my train of thought.
That's okay. We're talking about how you can do this manually. You don't need
Yeah.
a generator. Your mom's in North Carolina.
Yeah. Like I said, you can do it, manually.
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer to do it on a machine, have it done at night, so my day is clear.
Right. Well, of
You know,
course.
yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah. So, right now, exercising, trying to make sure I'm in good shape, because I do believe that I'm going to find a kidney.
You will.
And, I really want to be in the best of shape that when the transplant happens, that will I think it will lessen the healing time,
Right.
if I'm in better shape. And not to mention, I just want to be in shape, period.
Quality of life. I want to bring your lovely wife has been looking from beyond, and I want to bring you on before we end. Can I do that?
Sure.
Yay! Here we'll cozy on up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm bringing Michelle on. She's like, I'll be here if you need me. This is Michelle Demorier's wife. Say hello to everybody. Cool. So I just want to make sure that we're still live and everybody can still hear us. So how does this affect you?
It's definitely a process. I mean, and as the years have gone by, it's definitely changed, and you can see the deterioration, how he's feeling, and just quality of life.
Yeah, it's definitely the quality of life. I mean, you have 12-year-old girls. You want to be there for them, but this has to be a strain. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
it's a strain. You're lucky to have a full-time job. You've been with this job for many, many years. Do you have total faith? You must have to have
you have
faith
to.
every single day.
You have to be positive and just keep thinking of good thoughts, and that his day will come.
Yeah. And do you I hope that you have good friends and family that are supportive.
That's why we've gotten this
Very.
far. We have the best family. They're very supportive and helped us through everything.
Yes.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what do you think that there could be somebody out there, some good Samaritan that is willing? I mean, we have 2 kidneys. There are people out there that are willing to donate a kidney. I mean, is there anybody that in the family that has the same blood type?
It's interesting. I think since Damari kind of went live and started telling people what was going on, it's remarkable that how many family members and friends have come forward. And even if they're not a match, I think it's such a good feeling to know that people care so much and want to know and want to help and want to get tested. And I think we've been fortunate that way, as well as strangers, once he went public and told people. So I think it's hopeful.
Yeah.
And I think that, there's definitely somebody out there who's going to hear from a friend or something and want to be able to help.
Yeah. Well,
That
I
was
know,
a
I know.
shock
Yeah, I know
to
it
me.
took you a long time to kind of
Yeah.
come out on social media because a friend of yours said it really is
Yeah.
here to stay.
Because,
And it is word of mouth.
It is.
It's like spreading a rumor, It's
Absolutely.
just, oh
basically
wait,
when
I
I-
heard.
when I started the dialysis, my mindset was very strange, because I was just in the back of my mind, like, nobody wants to be bothered, with your problems. That's what I was saying to myself. And it's a big psychological fight, that you have to have with yourself, because I just didn't want to go online. I didn't want to tell people my business. I felt people would look at me differently. And I was like that for months, until I spoke to a lady who got a heart transplant. And she told me that you have to get out there.
Yeah.
You have to get out there and you have to tell your story.
Yeah.
And that pretty much got me started.
Mm-hmm.
So I just said to myself, you know what? If I put it out there, I just let it go.
Got to put it out there
Just
to the universe.
let it go.
And do you share with
absolutely.
other? Yeah. I feel like we've been given this gift of social media, and I know that a lot of people like to try and remain private, but I have seen some miraculous things happen. I didn't want to get on Facebook when it first came out. I did not want to be on Facebook. My friend, he pleaded with me. He said, come on, all our college friends are on there. You got to get on there. Everybody's, posting pictures. And at the time I was single. I was living in LA. I wanted nothing to do with any more sites. I was on MySpace. I was on dating websites. And I said, no. Turns out I reconnected with my now husband through Facebook.
Amazing.
I've also heard stories of people have broken up and gotten divorced. I mean, but it's not going anywhere. I use it for networking. I'm an actor, and I use it for networking. And I thought, oh my God, this Facebook is awesome. But now there's Instagram and there's Twitter, and all of these other platforms. And look at all of the movie stars and the famous people that are using these social media platforms to get the word out. Even for Hurricane Florence. I mean, people are tweeting about it. Our president is tweeting, I mean, it's powerful.
Yeah.
And I believe that you are going to get this kidney, and you will get it very soon. So, anything that you would like to add? Do you want to take any questions? I don't know if anybody's on that wants to ask any questions, but let's see. I got to put my glasses on for this. Hey, James Bellamy is on. Do you remember him?
Okay. Yes.
Does anybody have any questions? Because I feel like this is important for people to know these. Hey, Maddie, how are you? This is important for people to know the symptoms of, where you started, because not everybody knows. People do go out there, they eat junk food, and, they keep putting it in their bodies, and they don't realize what they're doing to themselves. I don't know if this could be a hereditary, it's not hereditary for you, but I don't know if it's a hereditary thing. People have, diabetes, they have high blood pressure, but they just don't realize.
But I think especially in the African American community, it's very, very prominent. So it's important that people understand the symptoms, that they go to the doctor, they get checked out. I have heart issues because one of the things that we had originally planned was that I was going to donate my kidney so that Demarie could get a kidney, so it was like a swap program. But because of that, I wasn't able to. But I'm so in tune with my children, especially to make sure that they continually go to the doctor, that they're checked out, because our family on both sides have different issues going on. So just to make sure that they're okay, because again, if it wasn't hereditary with Demarie, but just with our children, to make sure that they're okay.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's important. That's good parenting. Well, you're going to be okay, right?
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine.
All right. Otherwise, we're going to have another interview.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, so hey, Maddie, does anybody have any questions for our family here? Because we're going to be. Just let me know. I'll leave this on so I can see. But just to wrap it up, O negative. How do you say it?
Demarie.
Demarie.
Yes.
Okay, you say it differently though.
Demarie.
Okay, I'm saying it right. Okay,
That's just 25 years of just saying it. So
okay, Demarie needs, and he's O negative. That is his blood type. Needs a kidney. That is why we're here. We are pleading to social media, and we are asking anybody and everybody, if you know of anybody that is a willing participant, because of course I would think that a human donor is 10 times better than a deceased donor.
Yes, the kidney lasts longer.
They last
the
longer.
The quality of the kidney is better.
Now, okay, so I have a final question for that. When you get this kidney, so let's say it is a deceased donor's kidney, what percentage does that give you? Is that going to give you like an 80% kind of a? I don't really know the terminology. Like once you get that in your body, how long?
From the research that I told you, it's probably, they say it's like maybe 8 to 10 years.
Okay.
On a deceased kidney, which a live kidney from a person would last longer. That's one of the main benefits, that the kidney lasts longer.
I had a friend who had a kidney transplant, and her kidney lasted 19 years.
I was gonna say, my dad had quadruple bypass surgery, and when they have that kind of a surgery, they give them 10, 12 years, and then they say you have to go back again. He had that surgery let's see, I moved to LA in 2000, and it's 2018. So I believe that, I believe they have to give you the lesser,
of course,
of the years, as opposed to, oh yeah, you're going to be great for 25 years.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I do believe that if you take care of yourself,
Exactly.
you take care of that kidney,
And
it's going to take care of you.
And I think in Damari's case too, he's in good physical health.
Yes.
So that besides the kidney, he doesn't have any other issues. So I think too that makes him a stronger candidate for it to last
Absolutely.
longer.
Absolutely. So do you eat very healthy now?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Every once in a while.
I eat
All
better.
right. Yeah.
I do eat better.
Okay.
He's
Good.
lucky. He has a great metabolism.
Damn you.
But plus, but I think too. Plus, he works out a lot. He's always been very focused on making sure that he's working out. So I think that
Right.
definitely has helped.
Right.
I always have to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether just doing something around the house, working, or just working out. I
Right.
just have to move.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Good. Well, I want to thank you for having me in your home. It's always better to do it one-on-one.
Yeah.
I am going to share this. I hope you'll share this. And let's just keep fighting, and I'm going to help you fight. And again, I want to thank Heather Khan Licata. I know that last name is going to change soon.
Thank you. Yeah, she got engaged.
She got engaged.
In the Bahamas.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So she's going to have a different last name. But Heather, thank you for introducing me to this lovely man and his lovely wife. And thank you for coming on. And let's share. Share, please, for us. And thank you again for tuning in to another Live with Lilo. And I hope to have more. And thank you again.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.